from his studios in New York, it's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Good morning and welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. Hope everybody's having a great morning. We're starting a few minutes behind here today because Daddy had to take care of the baby. That's right, had to take the little crazy monster. Those of you that listen to the show, you know who she is, little Lillian, my sidekick of the show, and my little pup, and my daughter. So I had to bring her over to get her hair cut, connected with Canine Campground and Canine Doggy Daycare, who we're very proud to work with. So we trust them. They take care of her, and you definitely want to go over there and show them some love. So just so you know, let me get you the information here. In case you have a dog that needs to be helped out a little bit here, we got you all set up with Canine Campground. There's Canine Camp Dog Daycare, which is in East Syracuse. Their number is 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110. And then we also have in Baldwinsville, we have 315-635-3647. That's 315-635-3647. So make sure you go out there as well to the Downer Street location and get yourself helped out by the Canine Cuts, Canine Dog Daycare, and of course, you can check out Canine Campground by going to WakeUpCallDT.com. So I had to just give them a shameless plug this morning because that's where we trust to take care of the little Lillian, and, you know, we appreciate her very, very much, and obviously we love her like crazy, so that's why we're starting a little bit back today, is because we had to take care of her before I got into the studio. So, got to take care of the family, right? Got to make sure family's okay and that everybody's good. So, good morning to you. I hope you're well. I've been out there driving this morning in the wonderful, beautiful rain. Please be safe out there and please be careful. Make sure you got your lights on, that your windshield wipers work, and that you're taking care of not only your driving, but that you're watching and being mindful of other people while you're out there this morning. In just a moment here, we're going to be joined by Rob Drummond, and let's hop into the morning menu so I can tell you what's coming up today. Very excited about the discussion that we're going to have on the show today in this broadcast. So many great things coming up. You're definitely going to want to be here for all of it.
Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We like to start off the show by giving you our menu of topics. The morning menu, that is. Live now with the morning menu is Dan Tortora.
Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for October 2nd, 2018, the morning menu will feature in the first hour of the show Robert Drummond, Syracuse NFL and CFL alum, will be joining me to speak on numerous topics that are happening, including the 4-1 Orange, how he thinks they can go the rest of the way this season, if they should be ranked currently right now, the rivalry with Pittsburgh, as well as players' rocky marriage with the NFL. All of that's coming up right here. He's got a lot to say about the NFL. He played in the NFL. He knows what the NFL is about and what it's like. So we're going to discuss the NFL and the connection to players like Earl Thomas and Le'Veon Bell and the situations going on, as well as, like I said, Syracuse being 4-1, if they should currently be ranked, and their rivalry with Pittsburgh. And we'll also get into coming off that game against Clemson and his thoughts, since this will be the first time that Rob will be on the air since that loss to Clemson in Death Valley, 27-23. So we'll discuss that in just a moment. And then coming up after that in the second hour of the show, we'll be featuring at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Courtney Jackson. Courtney Jackson is the first player to have to have verbally committed to Syracuse for the 2019 incoming recruiting class. So we will speak with Courtney Jackson about not only committing to Syracuse for 2019, but being the torchbearer of the class. The first person to sign is always the torchbearer. So we'll speak on that, as well as his recruitment as a whole and his connection to the rest of the recruits that are out there. So we'll have some fun with that this morning with Courtney Jackson coming to us live for the 2019 incoming class for Syracuse and their football program moving forward. So Rob Drummond first, Courtney Jackson after that, and then we will get into the ingredients to success. Proudly brought to you by Utica Pizza Company. Can't wait to share that with you in just a little bit here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We'll be back after this fast break.
This is a Wake Up Call Fast Break.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
For all of us that have always wanted our favorite restaurant to come to us, it's now a reality in Central New York with It's a Utica Thing, with Utica Pizza Company bringing their wonderful recipes that they've handed down through generations to you, to your event, to your business, to your home. It's a Utica Thing, proudly bringing Utica Pizza Company on wheels to your location. Call 315-738-8946. That's 315-738-8946 to bring Utica Pizza Company to your doorstep with It's a Utica Thing.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and appreciate you being here on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. It is that time to get on the line with my guy, Rob Drummond, one of my closest friends, and, of course, played Syracuse NFL and CFL football, and is someone in this community, has his own multiple businesses in the community, and is, of course, my co-host for the pregame shows. So basically what happened was Rob and I didn't have a pregame this week, so I was sad and downtrodden, so I had to have him on the show. But in all seriousness, I got to have Rob on the broadcast. We're pretty much going to talk with you today about what him and I talked about yesterday when I was on a flight layover. And, all this stuff is very important. So I jokingly said to him, I'll call you in the morning and we'll have the conversation again. So with that being said, Rob, how are we doing today?
Pretty good, man. As I always say, every morning you get a chance to wake up and do the things you love to do is a great day. God is good.
God is absolutely good, and I appreciate the opportunity that we get to take here. So you didn't get us at the Press Room Pub this week, so you get us here on the show, making sure that we keep these two voices going together, and we thank everybody that's been so awesome listening and watching and coming out to the press room. So before we get into all the stuff that I wanted to discuss for today, I want to give a shout-out to Arthur Jones, because he's back in the community, he's back in the area, and I felt like a little kid during our show within the last couple of weeks here when he got up from being at the Press Room Pub. He was having a drink, and he got up and bumped our fists and showed some love for the show. What can you say about Arthur? Because I know during the show you had some pretty big words for him.
What can I say about the young man? You know what? It's always good to see a fellow Orangeman, come back and promote what it is that we love to do. I know what he did on the hill, outside of football, and by that I mean, the heart and soul, the pride, the love that he had for the game and what he gave to not just the Syracuse University football family, but the community. And he's someone who's local. He's from the Proctor area. So it's always good to see someone come back. It's always going to be not just local, but any of the guys when they come back. They're always welcomed here. We always have an open heart. I mean, I personally know what they went through. To get up every morning, go breakfast, check in, go to class, come back from class, go to meetings, go out to practice, practice all day, watch film, come in, lift weights, after lifting weights, you eat dinner, after dinner, you go to study table. After study table, you get to walk back up to the sky top and do it all over again. So it's a grind, but it's a grind that's well worth it when it's something you love to do.
And when you look at that, Rob, to get into that a little bit deeper, just what people don't see in the grand scheme of things. They see you out there on the field, and if you're not performing, then people get upset and they yell and this, that, and the other. They want to see better. They want to see things go right and so on and so forth. But just speak on all the things that people don't get to see and truly how hard it is to get out there on a Saturday and play this game, on a Sunday and play this game, because, there has been a lot coming out about, just shut up and play when it comes to Le'Veon Bell and so on and so forth.
Oh, I mean, I always, contributed to the dog swimming in the water theory. You see a dog just swimming so calmly along the top of the water, you just see his head and probably his front paws, but then underneath the water, he's feverishly, violently, moving his legs fast just to stay afloat. Football's the same way, and people just see on Saturday, the magnification of a game, that's led up to that point. But there's so much that goes into preparing for this game for these young athletes and coaches, from the practicing and the breaking down film, to the getting your bodies ready, to the bumps and bruises, to going to school, you don't just stop being a student athlete and all of a sudden show up on Saturdays and play the games. You got to travel. You got to, you got to prepare to travel. You got to pack. It's just so much that goes on. It's more mentally tiring than it is physically tiring. The game is just a climax of something, a crescendo building up, the entire week until you get to that point. But it's so much fun and so much worth it, And I always say I knew it was time for me to retire from the game when that build up wasn't fun anymore. I used to, every time I walk into a football field, I would mentally tell myself, I wouldn't say it out loud, I would just mentally tell myself, Robert, you're doing something you love to do, so this practice is over. Which meant I got another day to do what I love to do, because nothing really was going to happen in practice, I had thought, so I just went out there and just had the most fun I ever could have. I always just tried to have the most fun I possibly could have in practice, because they were tough, but you know what? I was doing something that probably 1% of the population could do. Playing at a high level of sport that as a kid I loved to play. And a lot of guys feel that way, and that's what a lot of guys understand about this game, that in order to be successful in football, in order to be good at it, you got to love it.
Speaking here with Robert Drummond, a longtime friend and longtime co-host, as well as a player in the history of Syracuse, the NFL, and the CFL. Rob, we're going to get into a bunch of different things on today's broadcast, and we'll get to Syracuse in just a little bit here. But I want to stick with the Le'Veon Bell discussion and just what you could say about this. I mean, you and I talked about it. Allegedly, he's supposed to now come back during the bye week. That came out last night that, there's a chance that he'll be coming back then. They also said Labor Day in the past, and that obviously didn't come to fruition, and there's been moments of people questioning, does his agent know what he's thinking? Does he know what his agent's thinking? Because they've had conflicting points of view and conflicting messages that have come out there, so to speak. So, what do you think about the whole situation? I know that there's a lot of stuff that we have to kind of dive into with this, but just what you can say to start off this discussion about, what's going on with Le'Veon Bell and this current situation that he has with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who obviously seemingly do not want him anymore.
I agree with Le'Veon Bell 1,000%. As the Earl Thomas situation pretty much dictates what Le'Veon Bell's holding out for. You have guys who are getting, $60 million, $70 million, $40 million signing bonus that, and these contracts that are setting their families up for life in a sport where CTE exists, in a sport where guys are, not just injured and maimed for life, but are physically injured now, and the NFL's not taking care of them. These owners are filthy rich. They own their stadiums. They have a multi-billion, not million, multi-billion-dollar enterprise that's going international also. And with television contracts and merchandising and things of that nature, what these players are making is paltry compared to what these owners are breaking in. So these players are putting their lives on the line. Name me any owner or any coach that's died from CTE in the last 5 to 6 to 7 years. Name me one.
Right.
You can't. It's not the coaches, and it's not the owners that are that are acquiring these. This deadly, and I won't call it a disease. I'll call it an affliction. But then I heard someone the other day they're talking about, well, these players make a choice of playing this game, and then getting this injury. It's like, that is true. But you also make a choice to get into a car and drive a car and then get in an accident. You make a choice to walk down the street every day. Just because you choose to do something you love to do, knowing that there's a chance that could happen, means it's on you. I make a choice to wake up every single morning and walk outside and do the best that I can. If something should fall on me and kill me, so that means it's my fault because I made a choice. Just because these guys make a choice to play a game that they love to do, knowing that the possibilities are they could get it, it doesn't mean that it makes it right. There's some guys that will never get CTE, but there are other guys who will never get injured in their career. But then there are guys who have the most debilitating injury or the most, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and I can go on and on and on about some of the things that can cause from the head trauma you get running to a guy, twice your size, over and over, 70 to 80 times, a game. And with these new fast speeded up offenses, it's somewhere over 100 times a game. But you know what? Sometimes something happens, sometimes it don't. But still, if a guy is willing to go out there and put his body on the line and put his mind on the line and put his soul on the line for you to be able to enjoy yourself, watching, the battle of the game of football, and these owners are making millions off it, make sure he's taken care of, for the rest of his life for wanting to do something like that. I commend anybody willing to go out there and risk everything, for not just others' enjoyment, but for their enjoyment also,
And when we look at, this situation, and you and I obviously had discussed this last night off the air and talked about some things with Le'Veon Bell and Earl Thomas. And, obviously Earl Thomas being a sign of that, a sign of holding out, not being happy, saying, okay, this team doesn't want me, I don't want to be here anymore, but I come back because I want to get my money, and I'm going to play, and here I am getting hurt again, and in the situation that he's in. Just what you could say about the Earl Thomas situation and how that speaks volumes for Le'Veon Bell's plight, for the plight of any of these guys that are out there trying to get a better contract, get a better deal, be with a team that actually wants them. How Earl Thomas is now kind of the torchbearer of the reality of, if you're not happy where you are and you want to change things, you want to get things better, that coming back and putting your body on the line for this team obviously affected him. And, and allegedly right after the fact, Pete Carroll's like, we're going to put him on IR, and normally that takes a day, or they, talk to the doctors or something happens, but they were like, nope, he's done, out for the season, thanks, bye, see you later. So, it looks like there's no love there, and the situation just looks very nasty. I mean, obviously Earl Thomas flipped off the sideline. There's so many things going on in Seattle, just what you can say about the Earl Thomas situation.
Seattle's on its way down and a demise. One storied, organization when they had the Legion of Boom. Now, here's a player that gave his body, heart, and soul for you out on the field, and proved that he was one of the top safety in the NFL the past, 2-3 years. So he's earned the right to garner the money that he's commanding. Name a profession where you think that someone shouldn't be paid, what they think they're worth. I commend anybody out there who feels that they should be paid what they're worth. I think teachers should all make over $100,000 a year, at least minimum, for what they do. I think we live in a system that's completely messed up, where teachers, make less than police officers. And granted, police officers do a lot. They do a lot for the community, but I don't even go on that path. But anyway, they do a lot for the community and for protecting, and being our law enforcement and the arm of the law. But teachers educate our children while we're at work. They protect our children while we're at work. They nurture and they do everything for our young children, up until the age of 17, 18, 19, when they finally go off to the college. So they're a basic part of, the structure of our lives as adults, when we can't watch our kids because we have to work to provide for our kids. So I think they should get paid more. Earl Thomas, I feel so bad for the simple fact that he was trying to get a point across and do and trying to get the point across, do the right thing. He told them, look, I'm in the last year of my contract. I mean, after this year, nothing's guaranteed. It's like, I need another contract right now before I go to this last season because I could get hurt. He was trying to echo it in the nicest way, and the simple fact that he came back, he came back on time so that, so he wouldn't be fined, and he played in games so he wouldn't be fined and things of that nature, knowing the risk he took. Well, he lost that risk. He took a 50-50 chance and he lost because now he has a broken leg, and now he's probably not going to end up getting the money that it should have been. He should have been released or traded a year ago, since Seattle didn't want him, and go play with a team that appreciates him. He'll never wear a Seattle Seahawks uniform again. I can guarantee you that 1,000%. And shame on Pete Carroll, and shame on the Seattle Seahawks organization for making that young man feel guilty enough where he went out there and played for them. Also, because they get to the Super Bowl championship and they rake in millions of dollars off the Super Bowl championship also, and ended up getting injured. Yes, he's going to get the remainder of his contract in Seattle. Yes, he's going to be on that team, for the remainder of the season in Seattle. But then after that, who's going to want to sign a safety now who's had 2 broken legs over the past 3 seasons, in Seattle? He'll get money, but he won't get the money that he got to be held out. Good for you, Le'Veon Bell. Do not come to Pittsburgh until you absolutely have to, and do not risk injury because you see what it can lead to.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing of this all is that, in the case of Earl Thomas, he's in a place where, like you said, he felt like he had to come back. He had to get.
He didn't want to be a villain. They appreciated him. They respect him, and I'm sure I can speak for Earl Thomas right now. He did it for the fans. He's like, I don't want to be that teammate that's, that sits out, that's so, so, I mean, I don't want to get hurt also, but I want the fans at least to know, I appreciated my time being here, and I'm sure if he could go back in time, if he could have sat there and said before he flipped the bird, the flipping the bird was to Pete Carroll, in the Seattle Seahawks organization. It wasn't to his teammates, as someone who's played this in the league 15 years, CFL and NFL, even if I did something like that, my players know I love you guys. We go to battle every single day. That's for these coaches, and not so much the coaching staff, but because they have nothing to do with his contract. But it's for Pete Carroll, who, as you talked about, didn't come out and see him, and the organization that wouldn't pay him his value after what he sacrificed for them.
Yeah, no, and you make obviously you make a point. You make perfect sense in this situation. Is that what happened in the situation and the sadness of the situation is the fact that, he was trying to come back and play the game like you said. He felt the need to come back for whatever reason it may be. and wanted to play, make his money, try and figure stuff out. Some guys hold out like Le'Veon Bell. Some guys eventually come back like Earl Thomas. But what does this show to the rest of the guys in the NFL? Does this show you when you're in a contract dispute and you have nothing guaranteed of your future to just stay out or fake an injury? I mean, what does it tell the guys that are in a situation like Le'Veon or Earl moving forward?
If I was an agent and I was representing some of those guys, and I had a guy in a situation like Le'Veon or Earl right now, I tell my client, for the best interest of you, because all these coaches and all these owners, all they think about is them and their product. You think about yourself also. Do what they're doing. Sit out and don't do nothing. Because right now, Le'Veon just has to come back. I think it's game 9. I think after halfway through the season or after the trade date,
he's got to play 6 games. That's what they got him at.
He plays 6 games. Maybe he doesn't have to play 6 games. He just has to be on the roster 6 games.
Yeah, he's got to be there.
Yeah. So he's got to be there for 6 games. So me personally, I'd be like, going there for 6 games. Do what you need to do, but don't get hurt. I mean, you're not telling anybody, to fake an injury or go out there and not play. But it's like, this team doesn't want you. So why would I risk everything for a team that doesn't want me? that let me wait until 6 games left before they decided they even wanted to trade me, or actually they have to trade him within the next 2 weeks. So if they don't trade him, they don't want him. They obviously don't want him because they're not even trying to negotiate with him to get him a contract back. So I don't get it. And as a businessman, if somebody doesn't want to be my part of my organization and go someplace else and play, and they have value, I'm going to get what I possibly can at value from them, so I can make my company that much better. If I can get 2 first-round draft choices for Le'Veon Bell, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Why not pick up a first-round draft choice? Ben Roethlisberger obviously isn't getting any younger. You can use one of those first-round draft picks, to get you a quarterback. Look at Deshaun Watson, first-round pick. Carson Wentz, first-round pick. Jared Goff, first-round pick. Baker Mayfield, first-round pick. So you can get you a young superstar, to have your organization, your team moving forward in the future. So I don't get these owners, and I don't get these coaches. The ego of these guys sometimes drives me crazy. You look at Khalil Mack, and it's Chucky, and I'll call him Chucky, because he deserves to be called Chucky. The situation out in Oakland. How do you not talk to the guy who I consider the next Lawrence Taylor about a contract dispute he's having before you just up and trade him? That to me is it's crazy. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, and Khalil Mack will probably win defensive. Well, he's having a year to win Defensive Player of the Year right now, and you just up and traded him without even speaking to him because he wanted to sit out because he wanted to renegotiate his contract. He deserved the right to have his contract renegotiated. As I said before, he was the Lawrence Taylor of the NFL right now. So I'll say it, but John Gruden, who I used to have a lot of respect for, I don't anymore. Pete Carroll, who I used to have a lot of respect for, I don't anymore. Right now, I don't understand the Tomlin situation, but I respect Tomlin, and I respect these guys for what they did, what they contributed to the game. But how they treat these players and the situation they're going about things now, it's hard to have respect for people like that.
Yeah, no, speaking here with Rob Drummond here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, guys making these decisions, some people thinking that Gruden is sabotaging the Raiders, for whatever reason, and, Khalil Mack letting somebody like that go, not sitting down with him, not speaking with him, not meeting with him, letting him go to Chicago. Now all of a sudden Chicago's relevant as the Packers struggle, the Vikings are up and down, and the Lions are all over the place. The Bears now have a shot at a lot of this stuff. So it's amazing how somebody doesn't appreciate something. But, I mean, it's in any relationship. You don't appreciate the person you're with, What are you going to say?
You're absolutely right. It's just about, and I tell this to my girlfriend all the time. You know what? It's the one thing, I can be tough. I can be rough, and I can be just ornery a lot of times. You know what? But the thing I try and be fair. I try and be honest. I just try and be, I just got to try and be contractual to the point where it's like, I'm not always right. So, I always take a step back. I look at the situation. I'm like, okay, you're absolutely right. Well, let's not try and negotiate the situation then. I don't always have to be right. But it seems like these coaches, they always have to be right. These owners, they always have to be right. What is Le'Veon Bell doing that the average, normal person in this situation wouldn't do? Earl Thomas should have held out. But Earl Thomas was like, you can tell he loved the game of football. It was in his heart. He loved the fans that cheered for him every day. It was in his heart because he came in, at the point where he had to came in. And and he may have said some things. If I'm not feeling well, I'm not practicing, things of that nature. But it was to take care of him. It seems like he was the only one that was looking out for him, because they sure as hell wasn't. You really think the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking out for Le'Veon Bell? Please. They're looking out for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, as they move forward, continue to struggle and are pushing themselves out the door right now of any playoff hope opportunity or a Super Bowl opportunity, farther and farther and farther away. Speaking here with Robert Drummond on these situations with these players. And, Rob, you and I have talked about this before. We talked about it on video at the Press Room Pub as well. The franchise tag and just, the notion of, what it did to Kirk Cousins, and then Kirk Cousins goes to Minnesota, gets the first fully guaranteed contract. He's going to make all the money that's on the contract. So kind of, Minnesota doing a really awesome thing for Kirk, not kind of, definitely doing an amazing thing for him, saying there was a carrot dangled in front of you for 2 years. Now we're going to give you what you're worth, and we're going to make sure that injury or not, you're taken care of. We look at, the franchise tag for 2 years of Le'Veon Bell. We look at the franchise tags around the country, which essentially what it does is the team has your ownership for a year. They say to you, well, you make an average of the top 5 at your position, so you're going to make a ton of money this year. But, like you said, there's no signing bonus, there's no longevity. If you get hurt, there's nothing beyond that. And they can drop you like a bad habit. If you play that season and play bad, or play that season and get hurt, they give you your money for your franchise tag, then they leave you out in free agency to drown. So, is it time to say goodbye to the franchise tag?
Yes, 1,000%. The franchise tag is nothing but a device to be able to protect owners, from having to invest in a quality project. You take the Kirk Cousins, situation. For instance, the man was a hot, very, very good quarterback. For years. I always thought Cousins was a very upper tier quarterback. But if you franchise tag, even as a player, if you franchise tag me, yes, I get the money of the top 5% of the players at my position, but there's no guarantee. It's like you said, I could have an injury that ends my career, and that's it for me. I'm not set for anything. No signing bonus, no nothing. So it's just that salary for the rest of the year, and then I'm done. So that's a chance these players are taking. The owners risk nothing, because all we have to do is pay him the top 5% of what the other players in the top position are making, and then that's it. We can be done with them. So there's no risk on the owner's part at all, but there's every risk in the world on the player's part. So so that's something that needs to go, and that's something that all you do when you franchise tag a player is you make him disgruntled. That's it. That's all towards that organization, and you have that player when he plays against that organization again, plays like it's the last game in the world towards him. Trust me, I know this. when you disenfranchise a player, he'll always play against your team as if it's his last game he's ever playing. He'll give you 150% every single time for that game. So watch when Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings play against the Washington Redskins this year, how he plays. Or when I was in Philadelphia Eagles and we released Chris Carter. Granted, it was other things behind the scene that were going on, but we ended up releasing Chris Carter. Buddy Ryan, he came back and torched us on a Monday night game for like 3 touchdowns, 200-something yards. So when former players come back and play against teams who burned them, watch out.
And that's true. I always say that. Guys seem to play up in these situations when they're put in this opportunity. There's always that, Deshaun Jackson going up against his old team, Priest Holmes. There's a lot of guys that people may forget about, that when they went up against their old team or they put on that new jersey, they were a different type of field, different type of team. And I tell people all the time, from week to week to week, when I look at matchups, saying, hey, remember this guy played for this team, and now they're playing each other this week. You should put him out there for fantasy football, because the reality of it all is 99% of the time, they're going to go to torch those teams that they're going up against, and they don't really care who's on the other side of it. They don't care what their stats are at the time. They're going to make it count. They're going to make it happen, and they're going to remind that team, you got rid of me, you told me to go pound salt, and this is my response. So, Le'Veon Bell at this point, Rob, I would imagine, now if he does come back during the bye week, and this is the case, I would think that he's coming during an off week, because he wants some peace. It's not game time. He wants to maybe last-ditch effort to talk with them. I'm speculating here. But, why come back? If he does, why come back during the bye week? Is this to say, hey, we got some extra time. Hey, I want to try and work this out. Let's figure out what we can do. If he does extend an olive branch in this moment, what would you think it's for?
I don't know what's going on in Le'Veon's head right now, but it could be to the point where Pittsburgh is a train wreck right now. I mean, they're awful. Brown is not happy, but Roethlisberger is not doing good. It's like everyone thought Connor was the next coming of Le'Veon, but we realized that running back, he's not Le'Veon. He takes you realize how much they need that young man and how much of the offense, is dedicated to around him being able to catch the ball out of the backfield, and run the ball downhill and between the tackles. So he's so much to that offense to get everything going for them. And right now they're struggling without him. They need him a lot more than he knows it, but he knows it. That's the thing. He's got them over a barrel. It's going to be like, either trade me or he's going to go out there, probably his first hit, just go down. Oh, I hurt my knee. I hurt my back. I hurt my hamstring. It's like, you guys need me. Either a long-term contract or, I'm not risking it. Why should he risk anything? Earl Thomas risking it, and what happened?
Yeah. And Le'Veon Bell allegedly had just said recently, I've got to take this stand, knowing my worth and knowing I can tear a ligament or get surgery at any time. I knew I couldn't play 16 games with 400 or more touches, end quote. What do you think about that statement for him saying, I knew my body couldn't take, 16 games, 400 or more touches? Is that a red flag to the rest of the NFL, or is that him saying, I knew I wasn't going to do 400 or more touches in 16 games if I know that I don't have a guarantee of my future?
That's him saying, if I don't have a guarantee of my future, why the hell would I, for your organization, carry the ball 400 times, in a third year? Because he's done it for 400 touches, excuse me. In a third year, knowing you did it the 2 years before. You beat me down like a broken Bronco horse. But yet you don't want to pay me the value. I have enough value for you to have 400 touches, with led the league the last 2 years, but not enough value for you to give me a contract like a Todd Gurley. He's absolutely 100% correct.
Yeah. So, this is a very interesting situation and where it is right now. He averages 128.9 total yards per game. It's the highest average over a running back's first 5 seasons. So this is where he is right now. The team, weeks 2 through 4, speaking of the Steelers, are averaging 43 yards per game on the ground, on rushing the ball. Bell is 26 years old, still wants to retire as a Steeler, allegedly. He said, quote, I could be naive or hopeful, but at the end of the day, I feel like that's what's going to happen. I don't think they really want me gone. That could be me being prideful, but I'm still holding out hope, end quote.
There's no chance he stays in Pittsburgh.
So what do you think of all these words right now? He also said it's costing me some fans. A lot of people call me selfish, but I'm really not. I'm doing it for guys behind me or guys who don't understand what's going on in the business of football. The 22 years I've been playing football, I've always brought value. I don't think the Steelers valued me as much, end quote, is also what he said.
Do you think the people that were calling Earl Thomas selfish also are still calling him selfish?
No, I think those people are probably hiding under a rock this morning.
Exactly, so I can deal with selfish people. Le'Veon can deal with selfish people. It's okay to call me selfish. You're not the one that's going to be hurt. You're not the one that's going to lose everything. I had no problem with any player in any sport, in any parameter, no matter where it be, holding out when your organization is a multi-billion organization and they just use you. I remember once a long time ago, that the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Tex Schramm, this was back in the 70s, I think it was, and hearing about it, that he basically said that the NFL players are nothing but cattle, and they're the cattle ranchers. We can get rid of them at any time and get somebody else in because, they're just cattle to us. And I was like, wow. And that's always stuck with me for all these years in football, basically saying to us that, players are a dime a dozen to these coaches. They're going to make their billions of dollars, regardless of who they put in there. So, we're expendable. So as long as you're expendable, you got to maximize your potential and your profit margin, as long as you have it. Right now, at 26 years old, Le'Veon Bell, as one of the best running backs in the NFL, has a huge profit margin. It's like this, Pittsburgh. Either you want him or you don't. It was the same thing with Washington and Kirk Cousins. Either you wanted him or you don't. You don't want him. So you let him go. And somebody else gave him the money that he was looking for in Minnesota. And he's happy, and he's showing him, like the fruits of that labor. Le'Veon Bell will do the same thing. Eventually, he will get the money he's worth because he has major value, and he's that type of player, a great running back. Pittsburgh doesn't want to give him the money. Let him go someplace else and get his money, you know? Holy smokes, I don't get it. You're trying to hold someone hostage for what? Your ego? Your pride? Get over it.
The last thing I want to touch on here, going right off of what you said in value, Rob, speaking here with Rob Drummond on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Todd Gurley and David Johnson have both received between $31 and $45 million in guarantees. Le'Veon Bell was allegedly offered a $70 million contract that only had $17 million in guarantees. For those playing the home game, that means that $53 million of the $70 million contract was up in the air, and Bell allegedly called that $70 million deal, because it was only $17 million in guaranteed money that he'll actually ever see. He called it monopoly money. What do you think about that?
I think he's 100% correct. As I said before, over the last 2 years, he's had over 400 touches. I mean, Johnson and Gurley didn't have over 400 touches the last 2 years. You know, I think he's personally a better back than them. He's a better, more of a downhill runner, more of a power runner. Fits that Pittsburgh offense style great. You know, so hey, it is what it is. At the end of the day, he's holding out and he's doing what I think was the best interest for Le'Veon Bell. Every player should go out there and do what's in the best interest for that player, because these owners don't give a damn about you. Just wait till it's all said and done and those injuries start kicking in, those bumps and bruises and everything that you know, look at the whole concussion issue going on right now and how they're treating the former players. That should let you know what these owners are about. Watch the movie Concussion, and you'll get what I'm talking about.
And the movie Concussion, I think, had a bunch of omissions in it as well, because as damning as it was, I'm sure that there was somebody saying, hey, don't show that, don't show that, don't show that either.
Oh, of course not. They tried to hide. The NFL tried to hide. They knew about concussions long before they even explained them to us or wanted to admit it to us, you know? But they kept it quiet until it got to the point where they couldn't keep it quiet anymore. People started dying, and they're still dying from them, you know?
And these guys trying to protect themselves. You know, I see the side of Le'Veon Bell, and, you know, obviously you and I had talked about it, you know, with him getting suspended and different things, looking selfish and not about the team. In the scenario of wanting to protect his body and protect himself for the rest of his life, you got to understand it. Coming off of Earl Thomas, you got to understand it more. So I see both sides of it. I think Le'Veon Bell has made mistakes in the past and done some things where he hasn't given himself a full season, and that has affected the team. But in the here and now, the way that things are, I say if you don't want them, trade them. We do have to get to something really quick here. Syracuse is 4-1. Should they be ranked? And I know you and I talked about this yesterday off the air a little bit. Should Syracuse be ranked at 4-1? And what type of 4-1 team are we looking at right now?
Very, very, very good team. A very, very confident team. A team that's playing with a lot of pride right now. A team that's just playing above what we've seen from the past. You know, that goes without saying. But their team right now is playing with a lot of confidence. I see that they're hungry. You know, it's just you can only take getting. I mean, it's like the bullies. Syracuse has been the school that's been getting bullied for the past 15, almost 20 years. They've had enough. These young men have decided within themselves that they've had enough of getting bullied, getting pushed around, getting laughed at, getting poked at. You know, they decided to go out there, you know, and be the new face of what, you know, somebody who's been once bullied before, you know, but now he's willing to fight back. They're fighting back, and I'm so proud of them. You know, of how they played against Clemson down in Death Valley, because that's not an easy place to play. You know, what they accomplished and what they did, and for a few mistakes here and there, you know, which is expected in football, they should have won that game. But you know what? They can't rest on their laurels. They can't get down on one game. That's just one game. It's in the past. It's time to start a new season. Time to go out there against Pittsburgh and prove not just to themselves, but prove to a nation, you know, they are as good as what people are seeing in front of them. And this is a new Syracuse era. I told you at the beginning of the year, if they beat Clemson, you know, or they had a tough game, it could set the tone for Syracuse for a long time. And I think the way they played, you know, these first 5 games, it set the tone in Syracuse for a long time, because you know, it's just a mental factor within that locker room, you know, within that coaching staff, that they can compete with the big boys. Clemson was ranked 3rd in the country. They competed with the big boys. Now, could they play with Alabama or Ohio State? Don't know. But you know what? In order to figure that out, you got to get to that BCS, you know, championship game, or excuse me, that BCS playoff game, you know, and find out. So that's what they're gunning for right now. I think they could possibly, with the exception of Notre Dame, win out if they go out there and play well, and it starts with Pittsburgh. So don't even worry about what's going on, going on in the future. All I have to do is worry about one game and take it one game at a time.
And what can you say about this rivalry with Pittsburgh? If you feel that it's still alive, is it the same as it used to be? Does it feel the same? Does it feel totally different? How do you see this rivalry right now?
Oh, Pittsburgh and Syracuse do not like one another. I mean, it's always, because the one thing about a Pittsburgh team that you're going to get when they show up on Saturdays to play is a physical game. I mean, it's going to be a knockdown, drag-out brawl. Penn State used to be a physical game. Virginia Tech used to be a physical game. Penn State used to be a physical game. The better team will win as it should. But it's going to be one physical game, and hopefully it won't be that shootout that they had 2 years ago. 71-60, whatever the score was, but. Hopefully, it can just be a game that where I'm used to at Syracuse. Syracuse just go out there and physically beating up teams. There are a lot of times, when I played, we didn't win the games, but we just say you win the battle, but you lose the war, But the war on this is a football physical part of it. You want to try and win that. You just try to physically beat up your opponent. So the next time you play them, it's always stuck in their head that wow, this team's. They're talented. Not only are they talented, we know we're in for a war. And that's what you want to get to a point of in football. Just psychologically getting into the heads of teams, saying that when you play this team, especially in Syracuse, when we play Syracuse, we're going to be in for a battle and a war. Hopefully we can win them both, but we at least have to win one of them psychologically. And that's the mindset that we had back when I played, which is a mindset that the guys had. In the 90s and the early 2000s. When we were winning games and going to bowl games and being nationally ranked. It's a mindset I think these young men now at Syracuse are taking to heart and thriving on and using to their advantage.
Some of the guys at the beginning of the season told you that they believed that this team could go undefeated. Who were the guys that you had an opportunity to speak with, and what do you think about them now saying that to you? Are you seeing that fruit kind of be born in the way that they're playing? I talked to Dungy, I talked to Kalan Butner, I talked to Shai, I talked to Strickland. And they're just telling me that they believe that they could go undefeated, and I was like, yeah, man, and it didn't surprise me, but it took me back from a standpoint of after coming off a few years that they've had, it's like I told you before. I mean, that's when I realized they've had enough. At any point, anybody who feels that they're tough, who feels that they're priding themselves, has enough of getting kicked around. And I just told him, just go out there and take it one game at a time. Don't worry about, don't look at your entire schedule. Just focus on that game at hand or the game in front. Which Coach Mack used to always say to us, focus on the task at hand. And the task at hand for them this week is Pittsburgh. Just worry about Pittsburgh. That's when I said earlier, I said it's a new season. It's a new season, so it's, they're not going to go to 5-1. They're going to go to 1-0, then 2-0, then 3-0. The past is the past. That one loss, let those games there. It's a winning record. It's a good record for you right now. So we just put that, have that. It's like a poker game. Put that in your pocket, for a rainy day, So you can add that on later on in the season. But for right now, just take care of Pittsburgh so we can go to 1-0. Take care, the next game after that, so you can go to 2-0. So just worry about it one game at a time. And I believe them, and that's the way they're playing. They're playing with heart. They're playing with pride. They're playing like the puppy or the young person or the individual that's been kicked around for had sand kicked in his face and is tired of it, is ready to fight back. That coming from Rob Drummond, Syracuse being that team that was bullied, kicked around, and now they're fighting back. Now they're showing the world what they're capable of and what they can do moving forward. Syracuse is 4-1. They need 2 games to be bowl eligible. And they have plenty of games coming up. They have 7 more games this season. And the next one on the docket, the next opportunity to be 1-0 is at Pittsburgh this coming Saturday, October 6th. As always, Rob, I appreciate the time. I know that you and I could talk all day, so I appreciate you being here and being a part of this. And you know that I'm always thankful to have you, so thank you for that.
Definitely, Dan.
All right, I'll talk with you soon, okay?
All right, bro.
Stay warm out there because I know you don't like the coldness.
Oh, I can't stand the cold. I have no idea how I played football so long and still living Syracuse. But you know what? I mean, mentally, I can deal with anything. It's no problem.
All right, well, have a good day, and I'll talk with you soon.
All right, Dan.
All right, take care. That coming from Rob Drummond once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. A lot of things to say about how you can, take care. Just taking care of these players in the NFL. Rob played in the NFL. He knows it's a business. Rob's had injuries in the NFL. He knows it's a business. And Earl Thomas showcased that. Earl Thomas just, he's kind of the sacrificial lamb because he stated the case of why Le'Veon Bell has been holding out. I mean, he shows you what can happen when that happens. And, I'm not going to sit here and lie about it. I did come out and say about Le'Veon Bell that, this is crazy. It's ridiculous. Look at what his teammates are saying and this, that, and the other. But I can see both sides of the spectrum. And Rob Drummond, and that's the thing about this world that we forget about, is that, just because you have an opinion doesn't mean that somebody else can't help to influence that opinion for the better or show you the other side and get you to understand it. Speaking with Rob Drummond, and I'm going to say this live on the air because people need an example because we don't believe that this is a possibility anymore. Speaking with Rob Drummond helped me to see another side to this argument, deeper, see it for real, and now I can honestly say that I can look at Le'Veon and say, okay, well, you've been suspended in this, that, and, so that's on you. And the guys that are on that team that just signed extensions while you've been there, that connects to you because they want to play with you because they believe they could be successful with you. So all of that, that's the one side where it's like, Le'Veon, this is a dicey situation. But on the other side of it, the injuries, knowing that a team doesn't care, knowing that they don't want you, knowing that they're not going to invest in you, that's the other side of it. And Rob helped me to see that. So shout out to Rob because not only did he make great points on today's show and always, but he also helped me to open up my eyes and see other sides to this and see the bigger picture and see the hell that these players go through. We see them making millions of dollars, but we also don't see the monopoly money. That a $70 million contract is only 17 sometimes. So let this be an example that just because you have an opinion in life doesn't mean you can't learn and expand your mind and learn and get to know more things. So, Rob, thank you for doing that with me. People out there that are on one side of the spectrum, maybe start listening to the other side of the spectrum and find peace within the middle. Because if we can't all see other people's point of views, then what the hell are we doing? And I'll tell you right now, it's not working. We'll take a fast break, and when we come back, we'll be here with Courtney Jackson, 2019 verbal commit to Syracuse. We'll be back here after this fast break in just a moment.
This is a wake-up call fast break.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Clothing that will change with you without you having to change. DrySigLady.com, DREISSIG Lady.com. With the Bamboo line Relax Fit clothing as well as the Athletic Fit clothing, DrySigLady.com is fit for any woman, any time of the day, anywhere. Whatever you're doing, whatever your day commands of you, command yourself to feel comfortable in Drysig Lady Apparel. DREISSIG Lady.com. For all the women out there, feel good in what you're wearing. And don't feel like you have to constantly change throughout the day. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a business owner, going for a jog, going for a meeting, or just relaxing at home, DrySigLady.com is the right fit for you. DREISSIG Lady.com.
This is Lawrence Papaleo, licensed real estate salesperson for Gilbo Realty. Call our home office at 315-752-9513, or better yet, call or text me directly at 315-748-2524.
Let me ask you a question, Lawrence. If I needed you to help me buy a house, find the right place, could you help me do that?
Joe, I'll help you find your dream home.
You don't ever say my name on the radio, never. If I needed to sell a house, could you help me go about that the right way?
Yes, I can.
How do they get a hold of you?
Call me directly at 315-748-2524.
but you also do the commercial property. So if I got a business, couple businesses, gotta take one here, move it over there, do this, do that, are you gonna help me buy and sell my commercial property also?
Yes, sir.
I like that. What's my name again?
I have no idea.
Absolutely, but they need to know your name, so give it one more time.
This is Lawrence Papaleo, licensed real estate salesperson for Gilbo Realty. My phone number is 315-748-2524.
Why don't you tell them your name one more time and that number so we can jot it down?
This is Lawrence Papaleo. Call me or text me directly at 315-748-2524.
Thank you so much for tuning in to part 1 of this episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Make sure that you go to wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, or you can go to wakeupcalldt.com on the RSS feed, the iTunes podcast, the Podbean podcast, or TuneIn Radio, and click for part 2 of this show. I want to thank Rob Drummond once again. You won't want to miss what's coming up with Courtney Jackson, the ingredients to success, and more. Coming up in part 2 of this, our 179th episode of 2018.